Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a hidden financial trap that is literally affecting millions of people every single day. So most of us are taught from day one that being good with money is just a super simple formula, right? You spend money, you pay it back on time, and boom, your credit score goes up. It sounds perfectly reasonable. But here's the crazy part. Millions of people are following that exact playbook right now, and they're still watching their credit scores drop. They're getting denied for loans, or they're just getting stuck with absolutely terrible interest rates. Today, we're going to uncover exactly why that happens and really dig into the hidden psychology behind how the financial system actually measures your behavior.
To really wrap our heads around this, I want you to picture a guy named Jake. Jake's 27 years old. He has a decent job, and honestly, he is incredibly responsible. He pays his rent, he pays his utilities, and he never, ever misses a credit card payment. Recently, Jake decides, you know what, I want to buy a car. So he pulls up his credit report to check his score, fully expecting to see this fantastic number that perfectly reflects all his responsible behavior.
But instead, Jake is staring at a screen that tells him his credit score just dropped by 42 points. 42 points! I mean, for someone who is doing literally everything right, this feels like an absolute punch to the gut. Okay, let's dive into this, because Jake's first reaction is, understandably, total panic. Did someone steal his identity? Was there some massive bank error? Was he hacked? He scrambles, checks all his accounts, hunting for fraudulent charges, but he finds absolutely nothing. Everything is completely correct. No missed payments, no identity theft. So what on earth just caused this massive drop? Well, the hidden culprit here is this tiny, often totally misunderstood metric called credit utilization. Because, let's be real, nobody teaches this in school, so most of us don't even know it exists until it actively hurts us, usually when we're trying to get an apartment or a decent interest rate. You see, human beings naturally think, hey, if I pay my card eventually, I'm being responsible. But the credit system, it thinks entirely differently. It doesn't just ask if you're responsible, it's constantly asking, how dependent are you on borrowed money right this exact second? It's measuring behavioral risk. Let's break down exactly how that risk is measured, because it's actually pretty fascinating. Say we have two people. Person A and person B both spend the exact same amount on their credit cards, $900. But person A only has a total credit limit of $1,000. That means their utilization is at 90%. Person B, on the other hand, has a limit of $10,000, meaning their utilization is just 9%. To the credit system, that exact same $900 in spending signals two entirely different risk levels. Person A looks totally financially constrained, basically maxed out, while person B looks incredibly comfortable. The system is measuring pressure, not your personal morality. Think of it like this. High utilization is kind of like seeing someone walking out of a supermarket carrying 8 heavy, incredibly overstuffed grocery bags. Even if they haven't dropped a single item yet, your brain automatically looks at them and thinks, wow, they are carrying a lot. They're probably going to drop something. That is exactly how lenders see high utilization. Even if you have never missed a payment in your entire life, using too much of your available limit just makes you look like you're financially stretched and carrying way too heavy a load. Which brings us to a massive, massive misconception. So many people out there actually believe this crazy myth that you need to carry a balance from month to month and literally pay interest just so the banks know you're actively using your credit. This myth absolutely refuses to die. Let me be super clear about this. You do not need to pay a single cent in interest to build good credit. None. Paying interest is just how banks make massive profits from people who misunderstand the rules of the game. The ideal formula is so much simpler. Use your card, keep your utilization low, and pay it on time. Now you might be wondering, okay, what's the actual target number I should be aiming for? You'll usually hear financial experts say you should keep your credit utilization below 30%. And honestly, that's a perfectly good baseline, but when you look at the data, people with the absolute highest top-tier credit scores actually keep their utilization below 10%. And they aren't doing this just because they're obsessed with maximizing credit points. They're doing it because keeping it under 10% sends the strongest possible signal of financial control to any potential lender. But getting to that level of control, it really requires a fundamental psychological shift in how you view your credit limit. When a financially stressed person gets a card with, say, a $3,000 limit and spends $500, they look at it and think, sweet, I still have $2,500 left to spend. They view the limit as available space to consume. But a financially successful person, they look at that exact same card and think, I only want to ever use a tiny percentage of this total. One mindset is entirely focused on consumption, while the other is focused entirely on control. Of course, maintaining that kind of control is incredibly hard. And there's a very specific psychological reason for that. Our brains naturally treat available credit like financial breathing room. When you get a $5,000 limit, suddenly a $200 purchase feels pretty small, right? The emotional pain of spending, that literal friction you feel when you have to hand over cold, hard cash, completely disappears when you just tap or swipe a piece of plastic. And when something feels painless, human psychology pretty much guarantees we're going to do more of it. Honestly, it's a huge part of why credit cards are so staggeringly profitable. So how does all this psychology build into the ultimate blind spot that frustrates even the most responsible users? Remember Jake? We know he pays his bills. Maybe you're like Jake and you pay your balance in full every single month too. You basically treat your credit card like a debit card. You are being perfectly responsible, and yet you log in and see your credit score just tanked because of high utilization. How is that mathematically possible if you literally pay every single cent you owe every single month? The answer all comes down to a sneaky little timing trick that most people are completely unaware of. Let's walk through the timeline. Say in week 1, you make a purchase. Fast forward to week 3, and your statement closes. This is called your statement closing date, and this is absolutely crucial. This is the exact moment the credit card company takes a snapshot of your balance and reports it to the credit bureaus. It's not until week 4 that your actual payment due date arrives. So if you wait until your official due date to pay your bill, the credit bureaus have already recorded that high balance, meaning your utilization appears high to the entire financial system even though you paid it off in full just a few days later. Which brings us to the absolute core actionable strategy you can use to effectively manage your credit utilization starting today. Here is how you take back control of this whole game. Step 1. Log into your account right now and find your statement closing date. Not your due date, your statement closing date. Step 2. Pay off your balance or at least the vast majority of it right before the statement closing date. Step 3. Enjoy a much lower reported utilization. By doing this, when the bank takes that snapshot to report to the bureaus, all they see is a balance near zero. You are effectively proving your financial restraint on the exact day they're checking. It's a total game changer.
Now, as much as understanding this timeline is an absolutely fantastic tool, we have to be super careful not to fall into another major psychological trap here, because it is so easy to start treating your credit score like a video game, obsessing over every single point. But we need to remember, a good credit score does not automatically equal true financial freedom. You can literally have an 800 credit score and still be drowning in debt, completely living paycheck to paycheck. A credit score is really just a reputation score inside the borrowing system. It measures debt management. It does not measure your actual wealth.
Because real wealth, that comes from things like assets, savings, and income that actually grows over time. The great irony here is that people who become truly financially stable often just stop obsessing over their credit scores entirely. Because when you focus on healthy, fundamental financial habits, like spending less than you earn, keeping a solid emergency fund, and not relying on borrowed money just to survive unexpected expenses, your utilization naturally stays low anyway. Excellent credit utilization simply becomes a quiet, automatic side effect of a well-managed financial life.
Ultimately, credit utilization is a lot more than just some boring metric. It's really a mirror. It reflects exactly how much financial pressure exists just beneath the surface of your day-to-day life. Humans adapt so quickly, and if we're given more credit, it's just way too easy to normalize carrying more debt. The people who truly master money usually have to master their own restraint first. They get that real financial freedom is all about reducing our dependence on that borrowed breathing room. So I want to leave you with a question to really think about. Are your credit cards acting as tools that are actively helping you build wealth, or are they quietly controlling you? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.